8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, the Power Hour Live. Hello, I'm Lee Kraft, a.k.a. the Monday Morning Racer. Over there, Mr. Dugenet Bland, host of the Not Bland Show. Just got done a few moments ago. Had David Weslowski on, chatting about NHRA drag racing. Is going to do the same thing here, but we certainly on the Power Hour take the time to go into some other areas in the world of drag racing.
Yeah, man. A lot of fun. It's been a heck of a season over there for NHRA, and just hit some real good talking points on the show today. And I'm looking forward to carrying on with drag racing over here.
Absolutely. And the great thing about drag racing, it is so diverse. Yes, we're going to be talking NHRA drag racing, but there is plenty of drag racing to talk about, from Southeast Gassers Association to chaos to maybe some War in the Woods chat, possibly. There is so much in the world of drag racing that we can talk about. I think one of the most inspiring stories is Matt Stutzman and his connection to drag racing and what he is capable of doing in a bad, fast, top sportsman style car. And he's got some goals in drag racing. He's already accomplished some great goals in his life, even though many would look and go and think, oh, you are limited. But he has not count himself limited in any shape, form, or fashion. I'm looking forward to actually chatting with Matt. Every time I'm at a chaos race, I'm so busy, and he's already got these flock of people around him. I'm just like, look, I got to do what I got to do. He's doing what he's got to do, and I can talk to him later. So I'm really glad we've got him on the Power Hour to have the chat. It's a spectacular story. Can't wait to talk to him.
Yeah, man, it is very interesting how that all is possible. And not driving a go-kart. You know what I mean? Driving a fast race car. So
the real deal.
It's
the
impressive.
Real deal. So look, I don't know all the affiliations for Matt, but I do know this. What he is doing is peak. And we want to take the time, plug peak, and also just say what he is doing. It's top stuff. This word from Peak.
If you want to take your vehicle's performance to new heights, you got to give it Peak. Like our original equipment technology, antifreeze, and coolant, our formulas match the vehicle manufacturer's technology requirements so that we have the perfect match for every vehicle. That's one reason why Peak is among the fastest growing brands of coolant in America. We work harder to earn the trust of people like you every day.
And we welcome to the show, Matt. Matt, look, I don't do this too often, but just with the curious nature of you as an individual and the great things that you have done and are doing, I just want to give you the floor and you introduce yourself how you desire to do so we get the bases covered right off the bat.
All right. Well, first of all, guys, thank you so much for having me. When I was younger, I've always dreamt that I would be able to be what I call a professional race car driver. And, like maybe like Jeff Gordon, like I'm getting interviewed on TV or on podcasts or like even your show, you know what I mean? So for me, this is like surreal. The fact that this is actually kind of happening is an honor, and I definitely want to say thank you. Just to kick things off, my name is Matt Stutzman, and you can tell by the videos, that is correct. I have no arms, and it wasn't that long ago where I was like, you know what? It's about time to take my drag racing addiction to the next level. So what you see behind me is a 69 Camaro with a blown Hemi that's on alcohol. I'm laughing because that sounds a little bit insane. But I recently, just like a month or so ago, I finalized all my passes and got all my stuff done for my NHRA drag racing license. So now a NHRA licensed top sportsman driver.
I'm going to start off right from the jump. How long did it take for you to be able to learn how to drive something of that magnitude with no arms?
You know, I was born this way, and my parents adopted me when I was probably 13 months old out of an orphanage in Kansas City, Kansas. And they put me on this farm. And one of the things that they began teaching me at a young age was that they weren't going to cater to me. So like if I got to drive the tractor or, the truck out to go feed the cows, like, toss me the keys of the truck and, go learn how to drive this thing. And it wasn't like they were trying to be rough on me or tough. They just understood that if they didn't teach me how to do that stuff when I was younger or have me learn to adapt to the world, then when I got older, I might be the guy on the couch watching you guys interview another armless guy living his dreams. And I was not going to let that happen. So for me, it's been a long time coming. I learned how to drive when I was probably 8 years old, and I knew it was something that I wanted to do as I got older. So when it comes to this level, though, so I've been drag racing for probably 13 years. It started off with a diesel truck, which I learned really quickly. You spend a lot of money to go really slow. And then it progressed into the car world. And then over like I said, the last 13 years, we decided that we were going to take it to this level 2 years ago. And here we are.
Well, you are certainly at a bad fast level. I'm going to bring up this photo and just kind of give everybody a rundown of how you operate in the car. I've seen it in person. It is quite fascinating. And give us the rundown of a run in this hot rod you've got.
Absolutely. So just to put it in perspective, the car in that picture, that was like one of the first years with this chassis. And since then, because of the speeds we're running and what, NHRA would like us to have for safety features, we've upgraded the car immensely. But last week in Eddyville, we were running a 428th mile. And it's not turned up yet. We're still trying to get suspension and things like that, figured out, which I think a 420 is pretty quick. It's not quite my goal, but working towards it. But a lot of this happens with my feet. So I do have to have help being strapped in. And if you look at the picture, my right foot is the primary foot that I use to start the car, steer the car. And if you can see on the steering wheel, I got some buttons on there. And so my trans brake, my line lock, I even have reverse on the steering wheel, and then my parachutes are on the steering wheel. So once I get the car fired and move in the forward motion, I'll use my right foot to shift into drive. Once I do this, and then, after the burnout, I back up, I stage the car. My right foot never leaves the steering wheel again, and the car shifts on its own. My left foot then goes between the brake and the gas. If for some reason the parachutes do not deploy, I have the parachute lever down by my left foot, down by the brake, which I can activate still deploying them in an emergency situation. But for the most part, if you guys could just pretend your right hand is what you guys drive with and what you can do with that right hand. In my brain, since I never had arms, I was able to train myself to make my right foot basically be a right hand. So that's what I see in my mind when I'm driving this car.
Man, that is that's a lot. That's a lot.
It is. Let's just be honest here. It's a handful. You could just say it. It's all good.
Oh man, good stuff. I find it to be remarkable. Like, people set out to do certain things, but this, you got to have a set of stones to do this here. But it really it sets a cool precedence for those who have disabilities or just some challenges, I should say, to inspire them to do what they want to do and chase their dream as well?
You know, I have realized over my life, and that's a good video of just what I just discussed right there. But so before I guess I got really into, or could afford drag racing, I couldn't find a job. I was a stay-at-home dad, and I was just trying to figure out how to make ends meet, and we were running out of food, and I didn't know exactly how I was going to do it. And I saw this, I just went and applied for a job, and I got turned down. And so I'm sitting at home, and a guy with a bow comes up on TV, and I make the realization that that's how I'm going to provide. I'm going to teach myself how to shoot a bow. And so I get a bow. I teach myself how to shoot. The next thing I know, I find out that I can make a living shooting archery for Team USA. So I put 100% of my effort into that. And so this is probably 2012. I go to my first, Olympic, Paralympic games where I get a silver. And I think for me, this is when I started realizing that archery and the car stuff, it's bigger than just, me doing it with no arms, right? Like there's people on a daily basis that come up to me and they talk to me about, what they watched and how it inspired them and motivated them. And I really quickly understood that that's maybe what my purpose is in life. You know what I mean? Like I'm lucky enough to have people that support my dreams and what my goals are. But the reality is that they're really helping me use this platform to inspire and motivate others, because life is what you make it, right? And that's how I've always thought about it. So you can either sit at home on the couch and cry and complain you have no arms, or you can go do what you would think would be your life. You go live it, right? And I don't know. I think that's my purpose now, along with going 200 miles an hour.
I mean, absolutely spectacular, man. I have to agree with you. I think what you are doing with your life, it's more than just the archery. It's more than the racing. It's certainly that platform of, hey, you can do this. It can be accomplished. Put yourself to it. I think of Ken Singleton. His story is far more than just surviving a wreck and what he was able to now come back and be able to do after what happened to him. So certainly an inspiring story, and you're able to inspire yourself and keep moving forward and keep doing the goal of getting to 200 miles per hour. I mean, how close are we? What else is it going to take? And break down like the NHRA going like, who wants to get what in that?
So it was interesting because I've been working on the NHRA stuff for a very long time. We had to jump through quite a bit of hoops just to, make them understand that I can handle this car. But a lot of it was from the safety aspect of things. So, it took a year to figure out how to just put a safety sock, like an SFI 20, like a 7-layer on my foot, because I use my foot to drive. It took a while, but we got Stand 21 finally, helped me out, and we made I got several special gloves, which got me over the hurdle of the safety stuff. Once I started accomplishing all that, let me back up just a little bit. I have a lot of dreams in the drag racing world, and one of them is like absolutely would love to win a Wally. Maybe even one day, maybe even drive for a big team, like Toyota or I don't know, whoever, right? But my first goal before I even get to all that, because in order to get to those dreams and goals, you have to have little goals, right? Little baby steps. So my goal is 200 miles per hour in the quarter, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I mean, that's a pretty special club. And I will tell you, we are close. We did some testing this weekend, and we're hoping within the next, event or two, we can lay down some numbers that will definitely be like a low 6 in the quarter, which maybe will be 220-ish miles per hour. But that's ultimately the goal. It's amazing because I have, like I said, I'm lucky to have people who believe in my dream. Penn Grade has come on strong with this one to really help me push this and help me achieve my dream. I was dream. I was talking with Bobby earlier today, and she's like, when you become famous, don't forget us little people. And I promise I ain't going to forget the little people, because without them, especially in racing, I'm not making it to where I'm making it, right? So
now you got all these buttons on the steering wheel. Have you ever accidentally hit the parachutes?
Oh, here we go. I was waiting for this question. So the picture that we're showing right now, after that year was over and we knew we were switching to, because that picture we were running a big block Chevy, carbureted with a blower. And I knew I wanted to go to a Hemi because if you, want to get to the speeds I'm after, you got to have a little bit more power there. But I had moved the parachute buttons around on my steering wheel. So there was a time, like in the span of like 3 laps and 2 races, I would stage the car and you hear the car go, and then the chutes would just go bloop, and then I wouldn't know they're out, and then all of a sudden the trans brake button's off, and now I'm just flying down through there with 2 parachutes, thinking to myself, man, this thing is slow. Why isn't it going faster? And then I get to the big end and my team's laughing at me. All you can do is just laugh at those moments, because, you can still run low 7s with both chutes out if you have the right combo, apparently.
Hey, you've got that in the bag if you ever need it in bracket race. Okay.
Yeah. You know what? I was thinking about that at this last event we had a run. I was running big tire, and I was debating on running the 450 class because there's a guy that has whooped me the last 2 years with a Hemi, and he's in the 450 class, and I was trying to figure out how to slow the car down fast enough. And I actually had the thought, if I pulled the chutes early, I wonder if it would slow me down enough so I could enter that class. But it didn't work out.
I see Blake's in the comment. He asked, if you had an opportunity to race Top Fuel, would you do it?
Oh, yes, for sure. Yeah. I have this I know it sounds crazy, but I feel like I have a really good sense of the car. I've been driving for a long, long time, all my life, even just normal cars and things like that. But 200 miles an hour, to be honest, isn't fast enough for me. Long time ago, I ran a mile lap in a Supra, and we might have hit 200 or close to it, but it didn't feel fast. And even now, with the numbers that we're running with this car, and we know what it will do, it doesn't feel fast. Like it, like, I don't know if it's just a adrenaline thing or whatever, but if I ever got a chance where I could sit down with some like engineers who could help me figure it out to make the chassis where I could drive it, I would love that opportunity.
Call McKinney Corp this weekend or week.
Call who?
Call McKinney Corp. Murph McKinney.
Okay. Is he knows what's up. He knows he can figure it out for me.
Yeah, he can figure it out for you.
Yeah, he can figure it out.
So It's interesting, just to put it in perspective, because I want to go really fast, right? But I bought this chassis because it was something that I could fit in where I had a little bit of leg room, right? Well, then after I bought this, I was at a track and I saw somebody had a dragster that had a 28-inch cage. And I sat in that and I was like, whoa, I've never seen a 28-inch cage on a dragster, but I sat in that thing and I was like, oh my goodness, I have plenty of room in here. And that's even with the steering wheel in the stock location. So like, I was like, what if I modified the steering wheel down in there? So I basically just like, my vision for that would be like, I'm almost sitting in like a F1 car. You know what I mean? You put the steering wheel down there by the gas and the brakes and all that kind of stuff. But by then I already had how much money invested in a ProMod chassis. So I figured I'm going to have to wait a while. It's interesting when we designed when we went with this chassis and we put a lot of thought into how we're going to make it work. Within about 15 to 20 minutes, I could have it switched back so people with arms can drive it. So even though we did modify it with the steering wheel and the shifter, and just strategic locations and that kind of stuff, it will all bolt back to like the factory location. So, I could still sell it, when I decide to go top fuel.
That smart move, honestly, smart move to be able to put it back because
they're expensive.
They're expensive, and I doubt you're selling it to any other armless individual anytime soon.
No, no. I think that's yard art at that point.
Right. Absolutely. Look, no joke. I'll even call and mention it to Murph. I work for Murph McKinney, like the guy who built the funny car chassis that was the first to 300, and the funny car, chassis and body first of the fours. The guy who built Don Garlett's monostruck car.
Really?
They understand how to solve some engineering issues and not just copy what everybody else has done, but actually solve engineering issues in the sport. So I'll reach out to Murph, and I'll get an email back out to you, and let's figure it out. Let's get you in a dragster.
Honestly, I would love that, because you can only do so much with a Pro Mod chassis, to be honest, right? So one of the things I noticed, like even at all the events you go to, with this horsepower, what I got to put down just to make it run in the, even in the threes, in the 8th mile, a dragster can do that with like way less horsepower. So I'm like, if I had this combo in a dragster, we're talking, that's quick, right?
Right, I mean? Absolutely.
And then I'm getting to my goals of where I want to be not quicker, but don't get, I guess let's not get this wrong. I am baby stepping it, right? And I'm learning as I go. But once again, I want to remind everybody that, I have been driving a car my whole life. It wasn't like one day I just woke up and was like, hey, there was a time in my life I even drifted. So like I was, I taught myself how to drift and I built a drift car and, just to learn car control and, that kind of stuff. But that would be amazing. I wouldn't always say I was the fastest guy in the world without arms, but I think I got that. So now it's time to, it would be cool to race, some of my racing idols, you know what I mean? Like to be able to even just a stage next to them, you know what I mean? And maybe someday, it could happen. You never know, but this is the start, and I'm proud just that I even get this start with it.
Man, it's a spectacular start. You're farther along than many people with the arms, and here you are getting it done. And I think that's very critical. Like for you, you're doing something that is normal. It's not strange. We may look at it as like, whoa, what the heck's going on? But you are used to this. It's just faster and quicker, just like anyone else stepping in a faster and quicker ride. Well, Matt, look, before we let you go, where can people follow you? Where can they follow this journey?
All right. So this is exciting news for me. So what we're doing right now is a 10-episode adventure. So basically, you're going to see 10 episodes throughout the summer of me trying to get to 200. And then when I get to 200, going after that Wally and going after what's next, right? You can find that at the Penn Grade 1 Performance Racing Facebook stuff, on YouTube, things like that. We just launched episode 1. We filmed episode 2, 3, and 4 already. So once we get those done, hopefully we can just kind of keep running them out. But that would be a great place to go. You're going to see a lot, you're not going to just see me racing a really fast car. I work on my car too. So you're going to see me with my feet down into the valve covers off and messing with things. You're going to see me driving like an 88-foot RV with my trailer to the track, because I'm basically a one-man band. I do have a little bit of help, but like I have to get us there and that kind of stuff. So you're going to see all sorts of things that are probably going to be like, what am I watching right now? But if you could go and watch and support me on this journey, that would be pretty cool.
All right. Spectacular. Yeah, we need to, as in the comments section, Memphis Lonnie mentioned Jay Blake, the blind crew chief. We need to get y'all two together and have blind crew chief and armless driver, and that'd be spectacular. It'd be great.
There was a group of people with disabilities that run the Baja 500 or something like that, and it is just the coolest thing to watch. Honestly, I'm about whatever, as long as he can get to his goals and I can get to my goals. That's fine with me.
Spectacular. Well, you certainly are going to get there. And Matt, look, thank you for the time. We'll follow the story, and I'll make that phone call to Murph. We'll be in contact.
Two things before I let you go. I'm a
Yeah.
little jealous you guys get to talk to Eric Enders. Okay.
Well, hey, Eric, I'm gonna bring you on. Okay.
Okay.
So Matt, ask away. Erica Enders.
Oh my
Erica
goodness.
Enders. Matt Stutzman.
I watch a lot of NHRA in my shop, right? Because I vision myself, at these events and stuff like that. And you are awesome. Yeah, you just keep doing what you're doing. And
thank you.
Yeah, I think that's amazing.
You must not have been watching much this year, but thank you for the compliment.
Well, I don't want to say nothing, but this last finals, you shook the tires on the hit. So I'm not saying I'm watching, but I hope that shows you that I was paying attention. But I was rooting for you for sure. I think what you're doing is amazing. And maybe someday we'll be at the same track, me racing Top Sportsman and you doing your thing, and may I come by and say hi or something.
Hell yeah. I love it. Good luck to you too.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for having me. It was a blast.
Hey, thank you, Matt. We appreciate it.
It's awesome.
You bet. Thanks.
Matt, gold medalist, silver medalist, top sportsman driver, doing it without any arms. It's just fascinating to see it in person. Absolutely.
Wow.
And Erica Enders on the show now. Erica, look, man, I've been reading the internet lately, and should you even be on the show? I mean, you're washed up and done, right? I mean, come on.
I am. You start asking people on the interweb, it's over, man.
Hey,
Are you announcing your retirement? I mean,
not yet. I can't go out a loser. I got to go out on top.
Well, look, there obviously have been some struggles, but a big turnaround this weekend in New England. And, we had Dallas Glenn on the show last week, and he said, hey, look out for Elite this weekend. They're going to figure their stuff out. And this is just that maturation process. As frustrating as it may be, do you think it has swung back around fully, or there's still work?
I definitely think there's still work to do, but I will not take away from the hard work that has happened thus far. During the month that we weren't racing, Pro Stock didn't contest at Joliet, and we won't be at Richmond, but we had 4 straight weeks off that we worked at the race shop. And at our final test session in Tulsa, the weekend leading up to Epping, is honestly the first glimmer of hope that I saw in the last 6 months for our program. I feel like the things that we have found definitely at least give us a direction to head in. And it also gives us a little bit of a pep in our step, because it is so disheartening and just frustrating and annoying and all the bad words you can come up with how we've performed this year. And it's not just one car, it's all 9 of our cars. So, the guys have just been hard at work at it. So anyway, long answer to your question, after the test session, I feel like we found some things in a direction to head. I feel like our qualifying effort in Epping was good, at least with my car, and better with the other cars. And that's something that we're, with having as many cars as we do, we're trying different things on each car, and everything that we learn, we implement in a positive direction. So I think that you'll start to see a lot of the other cars come up as well. And we were 4th during qualifying. I was proud of that effort. Sunday, none of us were really proud of what happened. We were super stoked to be in a final round again, but it's definitely not the way that we wanted to get there. So having said all that, excited about what's to come. I definitely think it's a turning point in our season, but there's still a lot of work to do.
Are the struggles part of you want to move forward? If you're in drag racing, if you're standing still and resting on what you did before and the combination you had before, you're going to get passed. So is this kind of one of those things that, okay, we're trying new things to try to move forward because we want to stay ahead of the game, and those things are still being worked out, unfortunately, during the season?
Yes and no. There was a big rule change over the off season. We changed from Sunoco SR18 to VP fuel, and VP makes a better race fuel. We were excited about the change. The numbers on our dyno were all positive. We don't do a whole lot of on-track testing like the guys on the other side of the aisle do. And I think that was definitely a big problem for us. And we may have like finally taught Richard that we need to test more, but yes and no. You want to keep moving forward, right? So you don't stay stagnant and you don't get past. But at the same time, I really think that the new fuel change kind of shed some light on an area that we were having issues in, and we couldn't and can't get our cars to accelerate properly. So all the things that we found, we found first on the dyno and changed some things, and then went out to the racetrack and we had to get our cars to 60 foot. And I think, if you followed earlier in the season, like we were just straight up flat ass behind from the time we let the clutch out. And then we just got drug all the way down the racetrack, and it got worse at every incremental. So we focused on trying to make our cars accelerate. And, I can't thank my guys enough for their hard work, because it is frustrating. And you get to a point where you're like beating your head against the wall. Like, we're spending all this money, we're changing all of these things. Why aren't we having different results? Which is like the definition of insanity. So we worked really hard on that off month, and things came together finally for us. So I'm excited about what's to come.
Well, it sounds like that month was needed, but overall, even though it was needed, is that length of a break in the season something as a competitor you really want, you really desire? Do you think you can stay sharp? I know Dallas last time mentioned, I was like, wow, it was a long break. And like me, like Southeast Gases Association, because of 2 postponements, we've spent 2 months not racing. I'm like, man, what are the storylines? I haven't seen these guys. So does it fit, as a competitor? Well, even though it was productive, do y'all really want that?
We definitely wanted it and needed it this season for, our obvious situation. But as a competitor, I hate being at home. Like I've been on the road for 22 years straight. So anytime I spend more than 3 or 4 nights in my own bed, I kind of get to wondering what the heck's going on. But, it gave us some time to work at the shop. It gave us some time to do some on-track testing. And I think the small turn that you saw in Epping is definitely because of that time off. But being outside of the cockpit for that long is definitely not a positive for me anyways. I don't like it. The first 2 weeks we spent working in the shop, and we didn't do any on-track testing until the 3rd and 4th week. So I felt like I hadn't been in the car. I mean, it exponentially feels so much more than it really is, but I hadn't been in the car forever. And then even from our test before, everybody went and did their thing for Memorial Day weekend. Like from that point until Epping was only like maybe 6 days or something. And I felt like I hadn't been in the car in forever. So yes and no to answer both sides of that question.
How do you stay sharp when you have that kind of time off? What do you do to kind of stay on your game when it is time to go racing?
A couple different. I work at the shop every day during the week. I work in the sales department for trucks and trailers and motorhomes and race car operation stuff. But at the same time, like we're also doing all the sponsorship stuff. I handle all the logistics for our team, like hotels and flights and rental cars and stuff like that. So I stay pretty busy. But as far as being sharp, it's just that seat time. That's what I think makes you sharp. You can hit a practice tree all you want, but you cannot mimic what happens in the cockpit of the race car. And I really try hard not to practice something that I'm not going to execute the same. So being in the car is definitely the best medicine. But also on the other side of that, like when you're going through these like really hard times and everybody's frustrated, and these things make elite motorsports stronger. We've been through much worse before, but this is definitely not something fun to go through. And I think things like this would tear other teams apart, and it makes us closer. But on the other side of that, I think it's also important to like leave your work at work and get away. So I spent a lot of time in Houston over the off month and just on the weekends because I work during the week. But I think that definitely helps the mental side of things too.
Speaking of getting inside a car, you set up a speed standard in Pro Mod that still holds to this day, but then had that blazing incident there at Norwalk. And it took well, some years for you to get back to pro mod. You did get back into a pro mod though. What about that process, and like what did it take to convince you to get back behind the wheel of one of those things?
I never didn't want to get back behind the wheel. I think after our season-ending fire in Norwalk that year, Richard had to call my dad, and my sister was there at the track, but he said, "I'm not putting you back in something that I have to call your parents and tell them I killed you." So it was more on his side of things that we steered away from pro mod there for a little bit. Not to mention it took a full year to rebuild that car. I mean, I'm not sure if people quite understand how bad that fire was, but it destroyed everything. So, I've been fitted for a couple different pro mod cars from that point until now. And then Richard being Richard, he sells the stuff before I ever get a chance to drive it. So there were times in the seasons where I thought I was going to drive a pro mod car again, and then it didn't come to fruition. But this year we wanted to support Westbuck and Drag Illustrated with their winter series. And I will tell you what, teaming up with Scott Tidwell and Chris Terry and Brandon Stroud and Ken Cartuccio and those guys, Richard got mad at me for saying it, but it is the most fun I've had drag racing in probably the last 3 years. So it was just really good to get away from like the business that pro stock has become and go out and have some fun. And I took some of my guys down there with me. Chase and Jenna came, Declan came. So it was good to like get away from the business side of things and just go make racing fun again, if that makes sense. And we did pretty well. I mean, Scott has some really competitive stuff, and him and Richard have been friends from back in the late 90s, early 2000s when they both ran competition eliminators. So it was just kind of like a perfect fit, and I had a really great time racing with those guys.
Speaking of fun, Erica does seem like she's having a lot of fun amid the frustration. I'm sure you're probably hiding some of it on the top end, but you really seem calm, collected, just out there. You seem like Steve Torrance, like, just happy-go-lucky, everything's good. I know everything's not good, but you really seem to be calm and having fun out there.
I do. And, you have to take the good with the bad or the bad with the good. I said it backwards, but we've been really fortunate. Since I teamed up with Elite Motorsports at the end of 2013, and we came out together with 14 being our first season together and won back-to-back world titles and then won 6 championships in the last 10 years. We've had a lot of success and a lot of fun together. And it's give and take. Like, to have those really great seasons, you're going to have to deal with some crap too along the way, and those valleys are what makes the peaks that much sweeter. And I know that all sounds like BS and cliche, but it really is true. And I try to remember, like, when I get frustrated, and like there are a couple races this year where I don't even want to get on the jet and go. Like, I'm like, this sucks, it's stupid. But then on the other side of it, you have to remind yourself that you get to do what you love for a living, like literally go drag racing and get paid for it. So it's pretty cool, and I'm definitely thankful for that. And also, like, the longer I've done this and the more I don't know how to say it without sounding like a dick, but like the bad people that I've encountered throughout the years, like, it makes you appreciate being with really good people. And it also, like, the older I've gotten, the more calm I've gotten, and the less craps I've given, if that makes sense. So I try to just kind of like manage the mental side of it and just remember how lucky I am. Even on like the suckiest day of drag racing, it sure as heck beats, going to a 9-to-5 that I would probably have if I wasn't a drag racer. So I'm thankful for all of it. And these lessons that we're learning as a team, I think, again, they'll make us stronger. And we have such a fire lit under us because of what's going on, not just with us internally, but what's happening on the other side of the aisle. And we just, like, if you don't think we want to beat the crap out of those guys, you are dead wrong. So we're excited about, making this comeback a little bit epic.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned it that way. Come back and making it epic. We have said on this show, we've had people chime in the comment section of like, what's wrong with Elite? And it's like, guys, they're trying to figure something out, but they have overcome some serious stuff at Elite Motorsports, that entire gang. Like, it is nothing new for you all to overcome something. And KB Titan has overcame things. This is that natural maturation in pro stock of continuing to aim for that performance mark that gets win lights and wallies. And you all are doing that. And well, you're one of the greatest of all time. Be that queen and be above everybody else. That's the best way to rock on and get it done. And you're doing it.
Well, thank you. And we're definitely, I mean, just focusing on the performance side of things, but we're trying to overcome a lot personally too, with Mark Ingersoll having the double lung transplant, and Jake Hairston, who's our lead engine builder and EFI tuner. He's going through a pretty tough battle with cancer right now, and through all of his chemo treatments. Like yesterday, like he flew from Epping down to Houston, and he spent the last few days at MD Anderson. So he's like, I mean, he is so dedicated. Like he finished chemo for 6 hours a day, and he would drive 2 hours to Tulsa and work on our race cars, like throwing up and just being sick. And so there's a lot of stuff going on personally too within our team that we're also having to overcome. And it kind of just puts things in perspective. Like, yeah, like this really, really matters, but in the whole grand scheme of life, it really doesn't make a crap whether we win or lose a drag race. So we're glad to have our people that we care about and getting them back healthy again. And Robert Freeman's going through some stuff with his kidneys as well. So I don't know. I feel like we need an ambulance over at our pit area, but we're definitely battling some stuff, and we're working through it, and we're doing it together as a family. So.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I think it gives a great insight to, the reality of you all as the superstars that you all are. You're still human, and you're still dealing with human things. And even though you're at the highest level of the sport, and you have done so much at the highest level and have had success, that doesn't mean you're not dealing with real human stuff. So, yeah, like, man, folks, you don't have to always chime in a comment section, I mean, my goodness. So
thank you for saying that.
It's okay.
Yeah, they do. They can't control them. They can't control these digits, man.
They can't do it. It's not in their wheelhouse, but it comes with the territory, but at the same time, like I could never imagine saying the things that these people say to someone especially that I didn't know, or on a public forum where there's no consequence, because none of them have the nuts to say any of it to any of our faces, but that's the way the world works. So it is what it is, right? I mean, again, you take the good with the bad.
You do.
So I have to say this. So I always say that I always compare you to like some of the greats in stick and ball sports. Two people that come to mind are Kobe and Michael. Those guys would look at comment sections. As a matter of fact, Jordan would just make up stuff and be mad about it. I wish athletes wouldn't read the comment section because I think, those guys were champions. You're a six-pack champion. You don't need to worry about what what people are saying. But you take that and use that like those guys did and go out there and hang foot in somebody's ass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we let it fuel our fire. And just like when Smoke won Chicago, like his interview, I loved it. I shared it on all my social media platforms. Like he was literally talking crap back to the haters that talk crap about him. The people that are saying the things that they're saying have never walked a step in our shoes or accomplished what we've accomplished, yet they still have these giant opinions. And so I think Tony put it perfectly, and I'm with you. I wish that I wouldn't read it either, and my sister stays on my ass, and my PR team stays on my ass, and it's just like. But I as I've done this for my entire life, right? 30-something years I've been drag racing, 22 been driving pro stock on the road, and you kind of get to a point where like, I don't have anything left to prove. I'm just doing this because I love it and I have fun with the people that I get to do it with, but I don't have to do it. It makes me happy. And again, my ZFGs are pretty low. So I just don't care. I'll mouth back. And my sister's like, I wish you would shut up, but I don't have the ability anymore.
I got one more for you too. You've accomplished so much. You got 6 championships to your name. What would you tell young Erica, who was just starting out in pro stock? What would you tell her?
Get a real job. No, I'm just kidding. I would probably tell her, like, I wish that I would have realized it a lot of years ago, that you're never going to please everyone. You're never going to make everybody happy, and to just do the things that you want to do, how you want to do it. And I feel like, yeah, I've made a lot of mistakes in front of the world on TV and publicly. And, there's some things, of course, that I'm not proud of, but everybody has those moments. But for the most part, like, I feel like I've done it right. Like, I put God and my family first. And, I'm always wearing a polo. You don't see me out there in bathing suits and running around with 87 different men on every given weekend. Like, it's a business for me, and I want to be taken seriously, and I treat it that way. And that's how I've done it my whole career. And I can thank my dad for, being tough on my sister. And I, in that aspect, he's probably the best dad in the whole world. But, I would probably just wish to tell myself that you're never going to please everyone. So just do you, and don't let, I'll take your advice. Don't read the crap, and don't let the haters get you down.
Let us handle that. That's what we're here for. We handle that.
Okay. Would Erica now tell younger Erica to step in nitro sooner, possibly? Any update on that? Any update?
No, I mean, I'll drive anything. I think I've proven that. It doesn't matter to me what it is. I love Pro Stock because it's a driver's class. You got to lead with a clutch. You got to hit your shift points. There's no downforce. Like, the cars are hard to handle. And it's a lot of fun, and it's super, super challenging. And that's what makes me love it so much, is no matter how good you are, or how good you think you are, or what you've won, it's extremely humbling on the other side of that as well. And that's what makes it enticing to me. But no, not really. Like, I don't, nitro stinks and it's loud, and I don't really want to catch on fire and blow up, but I definitely drive it for sure. That was my original plan, was to race funny car. When I won my first national event in Super Gas in 2004, I had just come back from Frank Hawley's alcohol funny car school, because I was working with a nitro funny car team, and then I veered off to the Pro Stock side of life. So I kind of wonder what that other fork in the road would look like, but I can't imagine it would be any better or any more fun than I've had the last 25 years. So.
Okay.
I find it fascinating that young ladies like yourself, and people don't understand this whole clutch thing. Like, that clutch is actually trying to throw your foot through the ceiling.
Yep.
And I don't think people realize that. And I think about, Camry Caruso, Sienna Wildgust, all these young ladies driving Pro Stock. And it's like, you gotta have strength to be able to hold that clutch in and not allow that car to manhandle you, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, the clutch is definitely hard to push in, and my driving style, I actually like a stiffer clutch pedal, one that's harder to push. I feel like I have a better feel with it. Every driver has a different preference. Even, just me and Aaron, next door neighbors in our pit, like, our clutch pedals are set up completely different. Jed Coughlin and I drive very similarly. But yeah, it's tough. And you see, when you watch the coverage on TV, you might hear the announcers or the drivers doing interviews saying, yeah, I cheated the pedal, or it threw my foot off the pedal. That means so when you stage, you're all the way in on the clutch, and you're all the way in on the gas, and your two-step is holding your RPM at whatever designated RPM you have it. Let's just pick 6,500 for an even number. So you deck it, and however much counterweight you have, we run a centrifugal clutch. So there's counterweight on the fingers. And so when you deck the throttle, your clutch pedal is kicking back at you extremely hard. And it's trying to make you eat your kneecap. And sometimes up there, it'll just throw your foot off the pedal. Dallas did it to him in the finals at Phoenix earlier this year, when him and Greg Anderson didn't even get down the track. I know it's happened to me, and it's happened to Greg Stanfield this year. It happened to Aaron last year. It happened to Jeg this year. So it's definitely tough, and also a fine line of not wanting to push too hard, so you can still have a quick reaction time. If you drive a trans brake car, you can relate by thinking about just resting your thumb on the trans brake button and being quick to release rather than like just mashing the button. And that's what we're having to do essentially with the clutch pedal. So it's definitely a tough balance, and it is a tough car to drive, but I think it can be done. Obviously, look at the girls that have done it. So.
Well, after Bristol, you've got some sponsor obligations. Going to be a meet and greet down in Columbia, Tennessee at Johnson's Horsepower Garage. So give us the down low on Johnson's Horsepower Garage, because I think a lot of people see JHG and they're like, what is that?
So JHG is owned by Jason and Nikki Johnson. Jason is part of the Copart family. That's where they made their money in business. And Jason is just an absolute car fanatic. He loves it. And if anybody's in the area, I promise you it is worth your time to come see his car collection. It's absolutely unbelievable. I mean, I've been to Meekum a million times and Barrett Jackson, and it reminds me of that. I mean, because he's got everything from like crazy supercars and McLarens and Lamborghinis and Ferraris to on the side of things that we like numbers matching hot rods. And he's a big Dodge guy. So he has a ton of Mopar stuff, but then there's like some really cool stuff in there, like old Camaros and Chevelles and stuff as well. So it's a huge collection. It's definitely worth seeing if you're around, but we do this every year around the Bristol time because it's the closest track. It's their home track for their business. So it's definitely exciting. We have a bunch of JHG drivers coming out there as well. Myself, Aaron Stanfield, Mike Coughlin. Jed Coughlin's going to be there. I know he's not on the poster. Gianna, normally Matt Hagan and Tony Stewart and Leah, they've been there in the past too. So I'm not sure what's going on that side of things, but there's a whole big group of people, and it's definitely something that we look forward to as a group after Bristol every year.
All right, very cool. I certainly might be able to make my way up there. Columbia, Tennessee is like 45 minutes up the road now from the house with the wife and I, so I might shoot up there and check it out. And Columbia, Tennessee is also just a cool town to check out anyway. It's got a lot going on for it for a small town in Tennessee. Well, Erica, thank you for your time, and we're pulling for you. We're pulling for Elite and the great competition that is Pro Stock in the NHRA. It's going to be a lot of fun on the mountain there in Bristol, Tennessee.
I think so. Thank you guys for having me on.
Hey, but before I let you go, like, any interest in getting in a Southeast Gassers Association car? Any interest?
I mean, I don't know why.
Okay. We'll have to work on that. Okay. Okay.
I know it's different, but I was reading something about like the Pinks 2.0 deal that's fixing to happen in Rockingham, and they have like a bunch of the nostalgia Pro Stock cars, like Grumpy's Toy and the Sox and Martin car, and I think that would be cool too. But the Gassers, where do they run, Chase? They normally run at like Norwalk, right? We always go up there and watch them because it's definitely fun. So.
Okay. Erica, have a good night.
Thank you, guys.
Erica Enders, 6-time NHRA Pro Stock champion, getting it done. And yeah, that runner-up, I think it might be that light at the end of the tunnel for them, and not a train, but actually finding that way out and getting back to performance. And I think at the right time, if they're making that swing and they're building some momentum, it can build momentum right into the countdown time of the season. And, Dugenay, you know this from sticking ball sports. We all see it. You can be the greatest team at the beginning of the season, but if you are not hot at the right time, which when you do have a playoff, when you do have a countdown, when you do have, a reset in things, that is when it matters to get hot. Yeah.
It's, we've seen Justin Ashley be hot early and it not translate. We're about this race here will put us at the midway point of the regular season after it is done. So we'll be at the halfway point of the regular season, and it's a good time to make some moves. They made some progress at Epping, and I'm really looking forward to see if they can continue to build off of that progress that was made there. And I have a feeling that they will. Like I said it before, we've said it plenty of times on the show. They're not going to stay down for too long. Like it's just one of those things. You know what I mean? They'll continue to work, and they'll be right there contending here, I think, before we get even into the countdown. And, like you said, it's best to catch that momentum late than to get hot early and then hit a brick wall. So, I think it's going to make for great storylines here when we hit the countdown.
Absolutely. Well, great stories took place at the New England Nationals for the NHRA National event up there, and brackets were certainly busted, broken, shattered. Let's talk about it right after this word from Drag Race Bracket Bonanza.
Hold on.
I'll see you.
Drag racing fans, check out Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. It's the free, family-friendly fantasy bracket game. Now, after final qualifying at every national event, you can fill out your bracket for all the pro classes.
It's free, easy to click on your picks. If you need some help, just hit the randomizer button to fill in the blanks. It's for fun, stay engaged, and pick your winners today.
New England tends to never disappoint. That racetrack, it seems year to year, the notebook just has to be rewritten. And this track, though, was a spectacular track. Look what it did yield. We'll talk about that in a few moments. But round one, at least from what I have been able to gather of Funny Car, produced an absolute shattering of brackets, and the expectations for who would turn on the win lights certainly did not take place. Buddy Hull, Burkhart out there.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was, brackets were done. Toast after first round. That was probably the worst bracket that I've had since playing this game. I was dead in the water after first round, and then you lose Jack. I think it was the Spencer Hyde deal. This time J.R. Todd all of a sudden wakes up and beats Cruz. Cruz is running exceptionally well, and that doesn't work out. It was bad. This was rough for a lot of people. They were taking their brackets out the pasture and shooting them because it was done first round. But again, great action. It made for interesting, storylines for the day. And I think it just plays into how this season has been, really. Every track just about from qualifying to race day, different conditions. Really thought they were going to have cloud cover on Sunday. And I know me and Dave W. were talking, and when the sun came out, I knew that was going to change the whole entire landscape of those individuals tuning, and it seemed like the people who are making a lot of horsepower, with the exception of that Monster Energy drink car, the Queen of Speed, they seem to fall by the wayside and get bit by that racetrack. So this is always a fun track, always cool stuff, always something surprising happening here, and didn't disappoint this weekend.
Absolutely. And first, let me just say, I'm so happy for the fans up there in New England. They love this event. They turn out to this event, and they are a special group in NHRA drag racing. Such a dedicated fan base, and it's noticeably so when you go there. They love their drag racing, and last year they didn't get much of it with what took place weather-wise, and it had to actually be completed at Bristol, which is where folks will be at this weekend. But so glad they got the race in, and a race that we may very well look back at the New England Nationals, a race that many skip. I mean, there were more cars in these fields, especially the Nitro ranks, than usual for Epping. So glad to see that. J.R. Todd winning this event we had him on earlier in the year, and he's like, hey, we're changing everything. And it's going to be a process to get up to speed with Dickey over here now and going out and winning races. Well, hey, here's a race win under their belt. Have they turned that corner? We see the performance out of Erica Enders in Elite Motorsports. Have they turned that corner, as we have already discussed? Brittany Force goes out, picks up the win, carries the day for John Force Racing, which was a gut-wrenching day in some regard.
Yeah.
One car out early, even though there was great performance. Jack in the wall on a back-to-back weekend, and you have Brittany with Grubnick. They carried the day for John Force Racing, but is that something we're going to continue to see out of Brittany? Whereas Tony, again, right there, definitely showing that team has got some championship chops right now. So very, very important and critical race, I think, and we'll see it even more so in hindsight.
Yeah, I think this race also was either showed that you needed to work on your hot weather tune-up or you got it. And we've been saying that from the beginning. We really wasn't concerned about TSR and Neil Strasbaugh and having a tune-up for the heat. It was whether they could pull out the home run and run the 69 when needed, and the 60s runs, and they've been able to do that now. So now they've got that going. They have a full playbook and they're dangerous every week now. And I thought they proved that here on this racetrack, another tricky one. Let's not forget the first race of the season. They were the only car in that first round to get down that raggedy thing we call the racetrack. And once again, when we get in these conditions where, they might be tricky, racetrack might be not there as it was earlier, sun gets out, gets a little greasy, rubber gets a little softer, they seem to find a way to get it done and have been doing that for the past 5 races. So there's no doubt that I think that they're the lead front runner as far as contenders go. We've seen this Force car show up and put up numbers, but not necessarily let that translate to race day. It happened here. Let's see if they can carry that over to Thunder Valley. I know Brittany was on WFO earlier today, and she was just saying how she was happy to be able to go back to back. She doesn't like these times when you got 2 weeks off after a race. Doesn't allow you to get into a rhythm. And I think a lot of these teams, I think it's going to work well for Cruz Pedregon and his team. They looked good. Chicago come out, have another nice outing. Just unfortunate that JR was just having a better day that day. Will they continue their maturation process and that momentum that they were able to get after showing up real well on Sunday in Chicago? So I'm looking at a lot of this stuff, and it's really starting to show right now who has their stuff together when it comes down to the tricky times. Heroes and all that great cool weather stuff, it seems like everybody's kind of got that down to a science. It's when the track has sun on it, who's performing well. And right now, Tony Stewart is the leader of the bunch in Top Fuel. And we talked about it on the Not Bland show. When you look at Funny Car, I mean, if Cruz goes a couple rounds and wins a race, he goes from where he is, I think, 9th. He could be in the top half of the field just like that. That's just how close everything is. Dave talked about the fact that, they lost Jack Beckman and that Peak team lost points because of the center line infraction and the oil. So that's kept things pretty close. And although they have been kind of the darlings of the bunch, they haven't been as dominant as they were last year, especially Austin. So it has made, I think, Funny Car probably is the one that's the most intriguing and very, very close from top to bottom. And then this weekend, we're going to add another Funny Car that is capable of running well. And I think they're going to upset some people in that Worsham car driven by Julie Natus. So it's when things are, going in the way that they're going, now you're adding another car to a mix that's already tough. So, I'd rather be in Top Fuel right now, to be honest. Hey,
it's highly competitive for sure across the board. And a Buddy Hull and Jim Dunn Racing that can consistently go fours and maybe eke out every now and then a high 390. How dangerous do they become in the grand scheme of things? You have the Hard Guys Racing show up with Phil Burkhardt, and they're able to go out there and put Tasca on the trailer. What did they do? Did they lay down the fastest and quickest run of the weekend? No, but they went A to B, and Tasca did not. So you have those moments come up and come in. They're very critical. Now, right now, look, this was just a regular season event, but that happened somewhere like Maple Grove, where Phil Burkhardt and that team can and kind of usually does show up again, or a New Englander show up again, and these people compete, win-wheel, Buddy Hull in the countdown, clip people. Like, I can remember, 2 years ago, I believe, it was Alex Laughlin, round one upset like 3-4 races in a row with the Jim Dunn Racing car. So, when will it strike? We don't know, but you have definitely, you got to have your round one stuff in order. And there are some cars, like you mentioned with Cruz, that are right around the corner. JR Todd, is it something now where, they are getting that car to track and they're figuring it out, and we're going to see them perform for the rest of the season, and it really become more of a toss-up instead of those brackets being locked in on one particular driver? There is certainly a more dispersed pick scenario of who's going to be going rounds and who's going to ultimately win.
Yeah. To answer your question, Memphis Lonnie, no, not full fields. Funny Car was not full until the Worsham entry came in to play. They had 15 as well. So they now have 16 because of the Worsham entry. The dragsters only have 15. Pro Stock Motorcycle, 15. The only really full field that's going to have a true bump spot is Pro Stock. So, that's pretty much it. I'm kind of surprised, actually, that we don't have more dragsters. I'm not surprised with the bikes, but I'm surprised that there aren't more dragsters there. 17 or 18 or so.
The one that's noticeably missing in Top Fuel that has for the last, I think 3 years run Bristol is Doug Foley. Doug Foley is not on the list.
Yes, he's not on here.
And he has the last 2-3 years competed at the Thunder Valley Nationals.
Yeah. That's interesting, because usually he is there.
Usually. That's been past, again, I think 3 years. You've got, for the Thunder Valley Nationals, there's some interesting names in Funny Car with this. Okay, Julie Natus. Julie can drive. All right, world champion. She's got experience beyond drag racing. A lot of folks don't know that, but, she actually was in Formula cars over in Europe at one time and trying to figure out, hey, am I going to go this direction or that direction? Obviously went the direction that her dad is a legend and champion in over in Europe, and that is drag racing. Well, she has picked to debut at the track with the bump in a Funny Car. That is interesting. Like, we're just going to get the hard one out of the way. Now, she's got a great coach in Dale, obviously, to help her this upcoming weekend. But then also in that entry list, Hunter Green, who is still very fresh to Funny Car. They're going to be tackling it. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle what is a tricky track, even when great, because of that transition, the bumps there at Bristol.
They claim that they've done some work again on the track.
They always claim.
They always say that,
yes.
but that bump still exists. But I think we hear that bump talk a lot there, Drag Race Mayhem. It will be the talk. It always is.
Yeah, it's a Bristol. It's like going to the
yep.
Darlington and talking about the Darlington stripe. It's that is just in that track's nature. Honestly, I don't want them to get rid of it. I want that there. I want that to be a part of it, and it be something that crew chiefs have got to have on the back of their mind. Maybe they just slip up because they're so worried about the bump they don't deal with something earlier or later. So I'm fine with that bump.
Tracks need character. Everything can't be smooth and polished. Every track can't be just pristine. It creates, it's an element. It's what, everybody doesn't go to necessarily a field that's always great and that they're happy to play on. There's nuances, there's little things, little quirks about different places. And I think that's just a nice touch to for these crew chiefs to have to navigate. So I'm okay with that. It adds character and it gives tuners something that they have to adjust to. So
yes. And I think also you have the racers, the tuners, they are not maybe as adamant as they could be if it was another facility, because Bristol arguably is the nicest facility to go to on the tour. So look, ZMAX, it is the Bellagio. Do not get me wrong. But Bristol, the setting and the facility, the sound, everything around it, it is just a unique and enjoyable place to go experience a drag race.
It really is. I've been there. Very nice. Very nice. It is probably, and I would say it is the best track. It's one of my favorites. Definitely in the top 5. Beautiful facility. How you park and how you walk down to the track, how the pits are laid out. It's all really, really cool. And if you haven't been there, I'd take a trip to do it.
It is worth it. It is a bucket list track. Absolutely. It is worth experiencing a drag race there. And, they hold some other events throughout the year, but it is a spectacular facility to experience a drag race. And look, Bristol itself has got a lot going on for it. Downtown, you're not too far from Johnson City, Tennessee. There's things to do. You're in East Tennessee. Make a bigger trip, make a bigger time out of it than even just the drag race, if you are able to. But it is certainly a great event to catch. They got a great full card there. It's going to be Pro Stock, I believe Mountain Motors there as well, and you've got many other classes up there in competition. It's going to be a great national event. Dujane, this event, who are you thinking picks wise in the Mission Foods Drag Racing Series classes?
Let's see here. I think Pro Stock stays status quo. I'm going to go with Dallas this time. They seem to be trading blows back and forth. So I'm going to go with Dallas to win Pro Stock. I'm going to take Matt Smith and Pro Stock Motorcycle. No. I'm going to back that up. I'm going to take Richard Gaston and Pro Stock Motorcycle.
Okay.
I think it's time now. He's been there, been close, had some little things happen. He'll be there. I think he can get the job done here in Bristol. It'll be, really cool thing to do there. Top Fuel. I'm gonna go back to Tony. He really could have had it here. He just got outrun by a huge speed. He got outrun. So I think they can be there again.
40's just nothing now.
Yeah, they're just doing it with ease. I think he can be there again. That car's just running so consistent, and his driving has been very consistent as well. I mean, he had the race in the bag on the starting line with Brittany. He just got flat out walked down and outrun. So, yeah, I'll take Tony in that regard. I'm gonna go in funny car. Sheesh. It's not gonna be. I don't think it'll be a forced car this time. I think I'm gonna go with Spencer Hyde. Car's been so close. They've found they've got their level of consistency. They look and run well in qualifying. It hasn't sometimes translated on race day, but I think they're getting there. And Epping to me is similar to Bristol in so many ways. I really think that this time around, if he can get to the semis, he's gonna win.
All right. Well, Bristol is certainly going to be a great event, and never know, maybe we just might see some throwdown performances, however the weather hits. I've already looked at the weather for Knoxville, where I will be this weekend for the Southeast Gases Association. I think we're definitely going to get the event in, but it's going to be a little cooler, and it might be a little wet at some points in the day. But, hey, you fight through it, you get the event in, and I do know that Knoxville has got an event on Sunday with cars and coffee and some test and tune. Never know. It might be having some Sega action roll into Sunday for Southeast Gases Association getting back to drag racing. It's been almost 2 months, Dugenet, since the last time Sega raced, with postponements with the Holiday Raceway event there in Alabama. So the Sega racers are looking forward to getting back, and it is going to be a great show up there. Always is at Knoxville. Knoxville Dragway is like mini Bristol. The feeling you get at Bristol with a big stage, you get that, but little stage at Knoxville. Same feeling, the same look, little humps of mountains, and same feel, man. Same feel. It is such a great place to go and experience a drag race.
Yeah, I think this pretty much resets things. I'm sure some folks has gotten an opportunity to kind of get some things worked out that they were trying to work on, and then there are some others that were able to finish some things and be able to get their car to the racetrack and be ready to go. So it's bought some people some time. Whether you were trying to work out some things or whether you're just simply trying to get your car finished to get it to the racetrack, this is probably a reset button. So I think this thing, with the little bit of momentum that we had after Shadyside, I think now that all doesn't matter anymore. We're coming to a new slate, and it's going to be interesting to see who comes and steps up and picks this thing up. Will certain people pick up where they left off, or will we have some of these people that have been close, like Ben Christopher, actually finally close the deal?
Right. Yeah, Ben, you bringing up Ben Christopher in the Happy Days Chevrolet Nova Gasser, he's been right there.
Right,
should have already so many wins to his credit, and then he has that issue at Shadyside on the burnout round one as number one qualifier, where metal chunks come out, and he had time. He got the time that he certainly needed. He's going to be ready to go. So look out for the Happy Days Gasser and A-Gas. Adam Lohorn, they're back in action, the rod slinger. And what I like about Adam really don't care about winning. He just cares about having fun, and he puts on a show for the fans. We're talking about long smoky burnout, a dry hop in the in tribute to Hubert Platt, with the door open doing the dry hop. And then he don't mind putting it on the bumper when he launches. I love what he's done, Dugenet. He put out a call out, but his call out was not, hey, go up against me in qualifying for this amount of money. Hey, go up against me in qualifying for the quickest ET and B. No. He's like, I'm calling you out to see if someone can put on a better show than I do. Long burnout mandatory, dry hop mandatory, and wheelie is mandatory if you think you can put on a show.
I like that.
That is the kind of call out I want to see.
Yeah, that gets everybody else up and makes them go out there and put on a show. That's what this is all about. That's why this whole Southeast Gassers Association also makes it different. It really is a show, from cars to drivers to the action on the racetrack. And I like that call out. I think some people are going to answer. I think some, but I think a lot will answer that call.
Right. Absolutely. It's going to be a good show up there in Knoxville. Look, this is what I recommend. Remember, the Southeast Gassers race Friday, Saturday. Saturday's race day, qualifying eliminations. So, if you want to get in Friday qualifying action and the nighttime action at NHRA, Thunder Valley Nationals, Bristol, you do that. Enjoy that. Get the header flames. Hopefully they have them and they go into the night. But Saturday, you come to Southeast Gassers Association drag racing and experience a revival of what drag racing was, and in many ways still should be. Those principles carried even into the modern day, I think, would improve a lot of the shows. And then, go back Sunday and enjoy NHRA drag racing. There's your drag racing weekend in, kind of, East Central Tennessee, East Middle Tennessee, into East Tennessee, Knoxville, Bristol. Hey, that's a good road trip. Two great towns, a lot of good food, a lot of good music, nitro, gassers. That's a weekend.
Yeah. And a gasser show doesn't go on into the night. It is very methodical. It is a very nice show that is on time and finishes on time. So, you won't regret that at all.
Yep. Red Racer 1985. You're going to be at Bristol. I know you get down there with a friend or two on occasion. You're going to be back at Bristol and enjoying the national event there. And, hey, if you are, again, swing by Knoxville. If you want to swing by Knoxville for some Southeast Gassers Association action, send me a message. I'll buy you a ticket, man. Come on and enjoy it, okay? There's an offer for you. Can't get the room, and I'm not getting your fuel, but I'll get your ticket, okay?
Yeah.
I'll get your ticket. So, it's going to be a great time there in Knoxville. It's going to be a great time in Bristol. There's a lot of drag racing happening certainly now across the country. Rocket City Dragway down there in Alabama, they're going to be having Fuel Altereds and Jet Dragster and more happening this weekend as well. You can just about pick any place, even up north now, I think, and go experience drag racing. So, look, guys, support your local track. Dujane, I do want to take some time before we end the show and speak on War in the Woods there at Brown County Dragway in Indiana. And just in the comment section, and you, because I don't know your opinion on it, we haven't talked about this, what are the thoughts on what is going down at War in the Woods? Now, War in the Woods gets the biggest amount of exposure for Brown County Dragway, but it's not all that happens there. There's actually a bracket program from what I understand. There is weekly racing and there is test and tune action, but this War in the Woods takes place and, man, people flock to it. They have a great crowd. They have a lot of great drag racing, but it certainly is known for the gnarly incidents that happen at this facility. So, comment section, Dujane, your thoughts on War in the Woods?
This is the track that has the strip of...
It still has a strip of grass in the middle. That's right.
I think it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool as far as the cars on the racetrack. It's sketchy McSketcher, though. I don't care how you look at it. It's sketchy McSketcher. It's cool to see the race cars that come out the racetrack. The place is usually packed. They do have some great racing, some fast cars out there, but man, that's sketch. That's sketch. But they have some dope cars out there. I give them that. But it takes some guts to race on that racetrack for sure.
It does. It takes some guts. I don't think it is completely flat. I think there's some undulations in it. And I will say this, I've noticed this because I've been to Beaver Springs Dragway, and Beaver Springs Dragway, it doesn't have a grass strip in the middle, but it does have grass on the sides. Kind of like Englishtown used to have back in the day, like big, like you are a long ways off from the wall. Yeah. And I've seen an individual get off the grass and nothing happened. They let off, they drove their car, they brought it back. And I also have seen someone get off in the grass and they tried to drive their car back under power and they barrel rolled. So to me, the grass is like, okay, big deal. You just need to know where you are with your car, with your race car, and how to drive it. My only thing is in these incidents, I think everybody needs to keep in mind Yellow River Drag Strip and 1969, way back, and the worst motorsports incident in the United States of America, our Le Mans, of fans being struck, killed, and injured. That's all. Just remember that. And that's not just for this event, but any event.
Right.
I have seen back at the track no prep events put on that are very well done. And I think one of the best that I've ever seen is Corey Stamper. He did a called the Thaw Out, a back at the track no prep event. And, he had moments where he had to stop. He's like, hey, we will not run cars until you people get off the walls. Like, I don't understand what it is with fans of like, let me stand on the wall or sit on the wall with my legs over where the car makeup. I don't understand fans that are like that. Okay. But nonetheless, got to have some protection for fans. And sometimes you got to do some protecting for them. And then I saw some photos of the promoter, putting in the work, making that facility, trying to make it better because they had to deal with some mud and all that, but nonetheless, they dealt with it and overcame it. The only thing any track needs to think about, the incident with what I believe was the Monte Carlo, he gets out of shape and okay, he's out of shape. We can say whatever about the driver, whatever. He's out of shape. He's about to hit the wall. Cars are going to hit the wall in a racing endeavor, whether it's prep or no prep. It's just going to happen. Right. Nonetheless, he hits guardrail. That gives. That's expected. Guardrail is going to do that. If the problem's not the guardrail, even though concrete's better, it gave and then it turned him and right at the edge in the beginning of the concrete, and that busted into the fuel pump and oil pan. Boom! It's on fire. So then the driver hops out, and if I remember correctly, he didn't have any gloves on. Like, oh gosh, like drivers, come on. Just look at what happened to a Lyle Barnett. Just please have your gloves on. But just some thought into facility of, hey, we need to work on transitions like that. No weird angles and things of that nature, because motorsports does this. It proves anything you say, that will never happen. Yeah, it can happen, and it will happen. Very cool event, though. And I think there is something that the NHRA, that the IHRA, that any other racing platform, they need to understand something, and they need to get this. People still want to see real cars. People still want to see what they're familiar with.
Right.
They want that distinction and that brand recognition. And the neat thing about what is happening at a place like that, it might be a bit sketch, but you still got a shot to go out there and compete and possibly win.
True.
You could take a hot rod there and compete.
Yeah.
You and I aren't taking a Pro Stock car down the road anytime soon to NHRA.
No.
But you could build something, okay, and take it to the track and still have that hot rodding element, that drag racing element, and it come out of your garage. No one's really building a Pro Stock car anymore out of the garage. And there's very few examples of that, except for Alex Miladinovic. of building a professional drag car in their garage.
Yeah.
But you can do that in the no prep scene. And I think that's why people do gravitate to it. There's a lot of different combinations. There's a lot of Fox bodies, but there's a lot of different combinations. And it just seems like real racing to them.
Yeah. It does have the grassroots feel to it. I think that's why it's appealing for sure. And it's a classic racetrack, but yeah, it's kind of, the fans are a little close for me. I've never been really a big fan of guardrails. I mean, but otherwise it's a solid racetrack. Just that strip of grass in the middle. Just don't try to correct your car under power when you hit the grass strip.
Right. Yes, absolutely. And look, somebody help that promoter, somebody help that track owner, and just like get concrete walls down the whole track.
Yeah.
I don't think we have that wreck where the guardrail gives, he goes up over it, hits the concrete, bursts into flames, and it looks as bad as it was if it was concrete the whole way. So somebody step up, help out, get that track to where it's concrete walls all the way down, and just think through what could happen, try to eliminate those things. The only thing about the event that concerns me, and I've seen this with other no prep races, for example, there was a no prep race in Texas at an airfield, and I don't understand why or how this happened, but they had people pitted and parked beyond the finish line. And the thought was, oh, well, they're done racing by that point, but you never know what can happen. And you never know did happen. And a car did go into the pit area, parked area. And there were some fatalities, sadly, from that happening. So, again, it fascinates me with drag racing that in this regard, we've forgotten some of our history. Yellow River Drag Strip in Georgia.
Yeah, that was bad.
1969. Okay. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go look it up. Brian Lones has got a good spot on it. You can find other things. But, we don't want something like that to happen. And then it impact all of drag racing, because what happened in Georgia in 1969 did impact all of drag racing. So just keep that in mind. But I think we need more of it, because we certainly don't need these, intersections shut down. It's like, oh my goodness, what the heck is happening there? You have communities get rid of a racetrack, and then they're like, oh, why are people taking over our streets? By the way, I know we haven't talked about it in depth, but kudos to Iowa for passing that bill that if the track has been in existence and then you move near it, you can shut your mouth about complaining about the sound and forget your petition. It stays, because you should have known what you built next to.
Exactly.
Shut up.
Yep. That's how it should be.
Every state needs to pass that.
Yep. You already know what you're getting into when you go there and you buy a home there, when you build there. So, I think every state needs to adopt that. It's too much of that going on where we're acting like we didn't know there was a racetrack in the area, and then all of a sudden we want to complain about it. Like, it doesn't work that way.
No, it does not work that way. I agree. Or at least it should not work that way. But it is an event I haven't got to yet. It is an event that I would like to go cover, but I also know so many media people flock there. And there are just other races that need media attention. And I like going to places that don't quite get enough media attention and cover those type of events, such as like a Rockin' City Dragway, or possibly later on this summer, the World Fuel Altered Nationals at Adeyville Raceway Park. They get the coverage. You've got, the the track channel there. You've got Redline Motorsports Media. You've got 1320 video there. You know, you've got some big names and some people doing some quality work covering that event. And what a time! What a time! I don't know what sparked it, but I can even appreciate the move. Like Sunday was free spectator day. I mean, that's a cool move.
That is a cool move. It definitely, with that, encourages people to come out, get them to come out, see the action, and you know, you never know who you hook in, and all of a sudden decide, hey, I'm willing to keep coming back. I'm willing to pay. So yeah, that is a cool deal.
I agree. Well, great weekend of drag racing. We got a great weekend of drag racing ahead of us. Hey, let us know, where are you going to be this weekend here on the Competition Plus Power Hour as we begin to wrap up this show? Where do you intend to go and enjoy some drag racing or just racing, period? Like I said, I am going to be at Knoxville Dragway for the Southeast Gassers Association race that is there. And where are you going to be this weekend for racing action? Let us know. Dujanay, as we get done here very soon with this episode of the Competition Plus Power Hour, once again, thank you, Matt Stutzman. Thank you, Erica Enders, for your time. Dujanay, again, I reflect on Matt is getting it done, and he's doing it at a high level, whether it's winning gold in the Paralympics as an archer or now near that 200 mile per hour mark in a door slammer, and he's doing it without arms. Just an absolute phenomenal story.
Yeah, it's wild. You know, there's a lot going on in a race car. For him to be able to do that with his feet is impressive. But I get it, because he's been doing it all his life, so he doesn't know any different. Just like we use our hands, you know, he was able to learn how to use his feet to do the things that he needed to do. And he's talking about, he works on the car and stuff like that too. It is really impressive what he's able to do using his feet. And I applaud him for having, you know, something to strive for, and not just, you know, woe is me because I don't have arms. So it's a big deal. I think it's great for those who have challenges to see, and to help motivate them to that, then let them know that you still can chase your dream, even though you may have some limitations. So it is really cool to be able to see him do what he's doing, and it's having a positive effect on folks just like him.
Yes, and Erica tonight, she seemed a bit relieved, yet also expectant that they knew they would get to this point, and they're glad that it finally did come around.
Yeah, they should be relieved. They've been able over the last two races to put up some pretty decent numbers. They've closed that ET gap a bit, and you know, I think this race will tell the tale of if they've made that progress and it's consistent and it's here to stay. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're doing. But you know, she seems to be in great spirits despite you know, the struggles that they have had this season.
Well, folks, thank you for tuning in here at the Competition Plus Power Hour, and thank you to Matt Stutzman and Erica Enders for the time. Thank you all for watching along and diving in the comments section. Good to have each and every one of you here, and Lord willing, we'll see you all here, same place, same time, Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time, and we'll talk drag racing on the Competition Plus Power Hour. Dujanay, in the meantime, where do people need to go to believe what they read on the internet concerning drag racing?
CompetitionPlus.com.
That's right.
Where you find that.
That's right.
Some good stuff up there right now.
Yes, some good stuff for sure. Hey, before we do go, I do want to give a shout out to the Drag Illustrated team. They took some material of mine that was actually a press release from a recap of the first race for the Southeast Gases Association this year, and they actually put it in an issue. So thanks to Drag Illustrated for
awesome
showcasing that in print in a magazine. Very cool stuff on a historic weekend for the Southeast Gases Association. And hey, thanks to Bobby too. He posts press release on competitionplus.com. To each and everyone out there, thank you. God bless. Keep the pedal to the metal. I'm Lee Craft, the Monday Morning Racer over there, Mr. Bland. And no, he needs no seasoning because he has got all the spice that you need. Not bland at all. Thanks, everybody.
Reliability to drive thousands of miles. Confidence for those who fly high. Redline oil products give you the power to crush the competition. And a track record of being the best. Redline oil products. You push it to the limit. We'll protect it.
QuarterMileClassifieds.com is a new and easier alternative to online classified advertising. We make it a simple experience with $20 getting your car, hauler, engine, or parts listed for 2 weeks. If you want to make a bigger splash, we have VIP listings that provide even more exposure, including social media. On QuarterMileClassifieds.com, you get up to 10 photos of video and up to 2,000 characters to deliver the message you need to make the sale. QuarterMileClassifieds.com is a trusted classified ad partner of Competition Plus and the Rooftech Top Eliminator Bonus Fund. Visit QuarterMileClassifieds.com today.